This is an incredibly bag-minded podcast.
Incredibly bag-minded. We are all about money on this podcast.
We're all about
love money on this podcast.
And anytime there's a chance for profiteering of any kind, we're there.
I gotta respect it. I gotta respect the hustle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If American exceptionalism is good for one thing, it's for believing that you can hustle your way out of any single problem in any way possible. And boy, do I mean any way possible.
Long-term listeners of this show know we're big fans of the health insurance industry.
Yes, sir.
We're big fans of pharma.
Don't forget
we're big fans of landlords. I mean, who's a more bag-minded group than landlords? Can't think of them. Except there might be one more bag-minded group than landlords, and that might be
a new emerging category.
And that might be Trump administration officials.
Trump administration officials, specifically gamblers.
Oh my God, yeah.
Gamblers, folks. They're back big. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it with the Kalshi CNN partnership. We've talked about that. We've talked about Polymarket. We've talked about sports betting. And these people know where it's at. Yeah, especially when we're talking about Kalshi and Polymarket and these unregulated agencies, these unregulated gambling platforms.
Name a more bag-minded group of individuals. You simply cannot. And, you know, we're going to be talking about the war in Venezuela today. That's going to be like the entire show, basically. And I do want to start out with a story related to that because it's silly.
It's silly, and it's something that's entirely predictable.
So basically what happened is that a new account on Polymarket was opened and placed $30,000 on Maduro essentially being abducted by the United States one day before the operation took place.
Like, come on.
And now they've made over $400,000 off that bet.
Like new account.
Yeah.
$30,000 high bet.
Yeah.
$400,000 return on
literally hours before it happened.
Like hours before. You can't make it up. That can't be more suspicious. And honestly, even if we found out who it was, even if Pete Hegseth came out at that press conference and he was like, "Oh, guys, it was me. Looks like I'm going to Nobu tonight."
Yeah, Rick Scott would have been like, "What's wrong with making money?"
Exactly. Rick Scott would have said, "What's wrong with making money?" And nothing would happen because it's not illegal to do that.
Yeah, and I have a quote from Axios here. Quote, the market for whether or not Maduro would be out of power climbed shortly before 10 p.m. ET on Friday, after hovering in low single digits for weeks, per the Wall Street Journal. What appears to be a newly created account appeared to invest $30,000 Friday in Maduro's exit. After Maduro went into custody Saturday morning, the same investor netted more than $400,000. I mean, it's just like, it's so in your face.
That's so awesome.
Somebody's insider trading.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like people always talk about when there's like a conflict that's like about to happen or a conflict that's going on. They love to talk about like the Pentagon Pizza Index and this idea that like whenever something is about to pop off with the military, the pizza places around the Pentagon will experience a spike in orders. Fuck it. We don't even need to track pizza orders anymore. Just go on Polymarket and look at where the high volume bets are being placed.
See, there's an uptick.
You'll know instantly that you'll know exactly what's about to pop off based on what bet is taking place.
And it's like, that's almost what Polymarket and like Kalshi and the others sell themselves as, right? It's like, oh, these are betting markets and these are close to what the result's actually going to be because people are putting money down. That means they're confident on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not true.
They call them like prediction markets, not even betting markets. And it's like, it's not like a prediction market. It's just that this is going to fucking happen because the people who are making it happen are making it happen and putting big money on it.
It's not a prediction market it's not a prediction market in the sense that like people are actually going out and putting money on something that, you know, they're just sort of guessing or making an educated guess about, but they're putting money down because they have insider information and we can use that to know what's going to happen next.
Like it's crazy that Polymarket came around and Kalshi came around and these organizations that let you bet on war came around and they made sports gambling like look good in comparison.
Oh my God,
they made sports gambling look like preferable to another form of gambling. I never thought that could have happened.
Many such cases. Oh, many such cases.
What a world we live in. What a year this is going to be.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Today is Monday, January 5th, and what a year this week has been.
Yeah, what a year this week has been. There are weeks where years happen, and there are years where fuck all happens.
I'm saying.
We
started off this year with a beautiful review, a timely, beautiful, wonderful, well-thought-out review of Independent.
We put a lot of hard work into it. We read a goddamn book for you guys.
Yeah, and then suddenly there's this dude running around Minnesota, like blaming Somalis for every possible instance of like fraud he can find. And then we invade Venezuela, and then Twitter's being used to make like AI porn. It's bad.
And they don't even even give time for the independent review to breathe.
Exactly.
They don't even give time for everybody to come around and like make 2 hours to listen to us talk about a book that's like largely not relevant at all.
Yeah, it's not great. So hopefully you caught that the review of Independent, and hopefully you enjoyed it. But now we're moving on to much more serious things like war.
Exactly. Like, I mean, and even like I thought that sitting here like coming out of like the holidays and whatever, I thought we were going to come on here and talk about Somali daycare fraud.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah, so did I. Yeah.
No, I come out here. Put all that knowledge to the side. We're going to war,
exactly.
Or at least we're at war, or we did an invasion, or fuck all happened, and I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, from the time we recorded that independent review up until I learned about us abducting Maduro, I was like prepping and planning and formulating my take on the Somali stuff.
That and Epstein files too.
Yeah, and the Epstein file stuff. But now we're war correspondents.
Yeah,
number one war correspondent podcast. Number one war reporters podcast. We are wartime journalists.
Well, number one geopolitical podcast right here. And look, a geopolitical conflict popped off. It's like they're calling our name. 2026 is really going to be our year.
So this year is really bad and it's looking worse. And so I think you should support independent media like Head in the Office.
Huge.
Patreon.com/Head in the Office pod. We are a listener funded operation. Please become a patron and you get early access.
And what else is there to say other than if you don't want to support financially and, commit your dollars to what is a good cause, you can completely for free support the show by leaving a 5-star review on Apple.
Yep.
And in the comments of Spotify today, we only have one Apple review.
Only one?
Coming into the new year with one Apple review. This one says, great show by Rando Perp. I condemn Jeffrey Epstein and all forms of redacted violence. Thanks again for another great episode. Love to see some sensible leftist content while I'm drowning here in Texas. Love Ken Paxton and Hot Wheels. Started listening after Harris book review, and the most recent book review reminds me why I'm watching. Keep up the great content, and thank you. Also, shout out everybody who did listen to the independent book review.
So bad.
I'm glad to know it wasn't just 107 days in the Kamala Harris hype.
Yeah.
That brought everybody out.
Then with that review out of the way, I think it's time to talk about war.
Yeah, it's time to talk about war. My favorite subject, my favorite thing to happen in the world.
Oh,
really.
yeah, I love, again, profiteering. Weapons manufacturers make money.
Yep.
People who work in managing crises, they make a lot of money. Politicians certainly make a lot of money.
Podcasters
make a lot of money. Exactly.
Yep.
We got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it. We got to do it. We got to grift on it.
That's right. So you guys know what happened. The Marx quote that we often reference, first is tragedy, then is farce, never been truer than right now, because it seems like we are, at least right now, my initial thought when I first made that video that I posted and put it up on the Patreon, I was like, okay, we're doing Iraq War Part 3. This time it's in Venezuela somehow. Yeah. But now my take is just that this is all a performance.
Yeah, no, my take constantly evolved over trying to figure it out and investigating different lines, and it started with me asking okay, why would we do this? And then it ended with me asking why would we do this?
Yeah.
I there really is no clean explanation, and it's I thought, just to get ahead of myself a little bit here off the top of the show, I thought that Trump coming out and point blank saying we're doing it for the oil was just the line that was going to be the moment of clarity, that was going to be when he's actually the most transparent administration ever, and he actually told us what it was. But the more I look into it, the less that I think it is about the oil. I think the oil is a significant part of it, but I think that oil as a commodity to be bought and sold is downstream of all of the other reasons why he did this.
Yeah.
And that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, and we'll get to it. I think oil's a part of it, and I think Trump likes the idea that he is seen as a guy that's getting oil for the United States. You know what I mean?
Trump's a deal guy.
Yeah.
The art of the deal. Trump's a deal guy. He's a businessman, and he thinks he's making a deal, and he thinks businesses are going to make money, so he thinks he can just say, okay, now go make money, and now they will.
Yeah. Again, we'll get into all this in our speculation and stuff like that, but just off the top, it does feel like it's got all the trappings of a 1970s, 1980s style U.S. intervention that should have been covert, but now that everybody knows about, except it's not doing anything.
Yeah, without the sauce that was there. Those things were bad, but they had aura in a a misaligned
evil
way. Yeah. In an evil way. They had aura.
Yeah, no, and that's why we say first is tragedy, then is farce, because it's all just a facade. But anyways.
And it's funny because I feel like we started bringing that quote up for Pete Hegseth.
Hegseth, yeah,
it was Pete Hegseth's generals need to stop being fat and gay speech, and it's haha, that was very farcical. Why would you do this? And now things just keep.
It's just true.
More farcical.
It's just a law of the universe.
Exactly. He couldn't have got it more right when he said that. Oh my God, brother was cooking.
Let's get into the background though. For those of you that have been under a rock since Saturday morning, last week Saturday, 2 a.m. Eastern time or something like that, U.S. forces flew into Venezuelan territory, bombed several military installations, and I think didn't they bomb like a civic or like civilian site or something?
I'm not sure. I tried to look into like what was going on, but honestly, like the coverage on like what actually got hit by the bombs and like casualties that happened was just so like the ratio was just so low compared to the, oh my God, what the fuck is Trump doing? Like, why are we here?
Yeah.
I know they were bombing like a bunch of forts. I know there were civilians that were caught up in some of the casualties, but from what I had seen, it was mostly like civilians that had lived close to where things had been bombed.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
And I think they hit like a cultural site that was dedicated to Hugo Chavez or something like that.
Okay.
Which is like you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, it's not a military installation.
Anyways.
He's not going to shoot a missile at you.
Mostly dropping bombs on military installations. And then they abducted the Venezuelan president Maduro and his wife from the presidential palace. Maduro and his wife are now being held in Zoran Mamdani's New York City.
Crazy.
He's got the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever and spring Maduro from prison. Not going to happen. If you're wondering, Maduro was essentially brought to the United States on these like random charges that Pam Bondi is throwing at him.
Yeah, it was like narco terrorism and possession of a machine gun. I could point to, I don't know, people I know, not in possession of a machine gun because that's still illegal for regular people to know, but it's like for America to go arrest somebody, a foreign leader, for possessing a gun. I don't know, man.
Also, after pardoning the Honduran president, the one who was like, I'll stuff cocaine up the noses of gringos or whatever.
Well, it's funny because they didn't even try to really like hammer home the drug trafficking thing. Like they mentioned it just because they felt like they had to mention it at these press conferences.
Yeah.
But everyone has known since they started doing the drug belt bombings that the drug trafficking, what they're calling narco terrorism, isn't like a real concern that they have with this. They're doing all of this for other reasons. Yeah.
It's just like weapons of mass destruction. They make up a scary term to justify the invasion or the intervention of the U.S. into another country. It's just this time the public like doesn't want to do this at all.
Exactly. And
like at least during the Iraq War, everyone was like, yeah, we got to get the guys who did 9/11. But right now it's just like, no.
Yeah, we got to get the guys who dealt drugs through this complex web of things going on. Like there was never like an easy enemy to like a point going on here. There was never like you were never seriously going to get like regular people to like give a shit about who Maduro was in Venezuela without like a 9/11 happening.
Yeah, exactly. In the press conference that followed from Mar-a-Lago the next afternoon, a press conference Trump was late for, by the way.
So cool. Like an hour late, wasn't he?
Yeah. The no new wars president being an hour late for his new war press conference. Goated.
Awesome.
Goated. Anyway, he recounted the operation and he said, quote, "We will run the country until such a time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. We can't take a chance that someone else takes over Venezuela who doesn't have the interests of Venezuelans in mind." And you might be wondering, what the fuck does that mean, interests of Venezuelans? Well, from Reuters, quote, Trump said as part of the takeover, major U.S. oil companies would move into Venezuela, which has the world's largest oil reserves, and refurbish badly degraded oil infrastructure.
Interesting.
Fantastic. Again, the
Lovely.
basis of this was going after the fentanyl drug trade. What?
Well, yeah, the basis of this was like stopping fentanyl, a weapon of mass destruction, from flowing into the United States from like Tren de Aragua. And now Trump is saying we're going to refurbish abandoned oil refineries. We're going to refurbish old and dilapidated oil refineries. What that has nothing to do with fentanyl, I think, if you're asking me.
And Trump had sort of been building up animosity against Venezuela all of 2025 with like the targeting TDA for mass deportations, or saying that they were targeting TDA, but really just grabbing dudes that work as like street vendors in the streets of LA or something like that. But yeah, this was never about the drug trade. It was never about Tren de Aragua. It was always about, well, at least in some part, maybe, always about, in Trump's mind, going after oil reserves because that seems big and cool and successful.
And that really just kind of seems like a Trump thing. Like he's the only one that's getting out here and talking about that. Marco Rubio's not doing the thing. We'll get into more like Marco Rubio later. I think Marco Rubio's really kind of the orchestrator behind most of this, but Trump is really like focused in on this oil bullshit. And it's just like I find myself so confused when I look at what's going on and I'm trying to figure out why it's happening, because it doesn't add up unless you're looking at this from the perspective that Trump and the people around him are megalomaniacs. Yeah, and they're like ideologically Nazis, Nazi being like the, I don't know, the essence of the word, not actual like Nazis doing the Jewish question type thing. Like the blood is in the soil and they think that the Western Hemisphere is the United States to own and to like rule over.
Well, I mean, Trump brought up the Monroe Doctrine. He called it the Donroe Doctrine.
So cool.
I mean, you don't get more like first tragedy than as farce than that, right? Yeah. Like the tragedy, of course, was the Monroe Doctrine and our essentially, we claimed the entire Western Hemisphere and did tons and tons of violence, Operation Condor and all this other shit. And now Trump is trying to do like his own version of the Monroe Doctrine and Manifest Destiny and all that kind of stuff. But it means nothing because this just isn't how imperialism works anymore.
No, exactly. And like that's kind of what I was like latched onto for so much of like when I was reading about this is it's just like it took me a while to get the idea that like, oh no, they're just doing like empire. Like they're just doing old empire. But once I got there, I felt like everything like finally clicked into place, that they're just stuck in the past. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we criticize Israel. We've been criticizing Israel for so long for engaging in like this sort of old school imperialism in a time where that is just wholly outdated.
Yeah.
Instead of going and bombing your neighbor and trying to like do like literal land grabs or whatever, you're supposed to go and like do trade agreements and like get loans from the IMF for them in your currency.
Exactly. Yeah. You force them to the IMF so they get a structural adjustment program, and then they have to use your currency, and then they're in debt forever.
And they have to hire your contractors.
Exactly.
And then your contractors come in and extract wealth from the region, and then they're beholden to you constantly forever, and it's this loop. That's how you're supposed to do imperialism right now. That's neo-imperialism. You're not just supposed to like bomb your neighbors and shit. And so I was like instantly just kind of baffled by that. And it's the most Israel Prize recipient thing to do is to go and do something like this. And that's what Trump did. Trump received the Israel Prize from Netanyahu. But I have some...
first non-Israeli to get the Israel Prize, by the way.
And then he immediately goes the most Israeli coded thing ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Bomb your fucking neighbor for no reason.
For no reason.
Go bomb your neighbor's capital just like on a whim.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Bomb your neighbor's capital and take out like a leader somehow. When Israel went and missile strike in Tehran for the Hamas guy, and then we go and we steal Maduro out of Caracas, which tweet of the fucking week was the Trumpification of Baron Harkonnen. My Caracas.
Yeah.
That was good. But either way, like speaking on this like this old school imperialism point, an age where that doesn't matter, I wanna like bolster my claim. And I have this excerpt here that I got from a New York Times article. Mr. Trump has demanded access to Ukrainian minerals as payment for U.S. support for Kyiv's war effort. He has frequently lamented that the United States did not get Iraqi oil after the 2003 invasion. He agreed to keep U.S. troops in Syria in 2019 on the condition that America would, quote, keep the oil. Trump and Marco Rubio's vision for the United States is like literally a country that physically dominates the Western Hemisphere and just conquers its neighbors and like expands like Rome did whenever Rome was popping, or the British Empire or whatever. It's this completely like old and outdated view, and just wrong and evil view.
Yeah, and the key thing to remember is that, you know, I see some people get excited when the U.S. does bits of imperialism. You think that like, oh, capturing oil or capturing minerals will help us back here and make prices lower, and like, and maybe in some cases it will. But these operations, these excursions, to the extent that they have any meaning at all, are not to make your life better.
No.
It's to make a couple of dudes richer.
Yes.
Like, I cannot express, like, even back when the United States was regularly doing like covert operations and toppling governments in Latin America, we did them on behalf of like banana companies in the case of Guatemala. Like, we don't do these for the betterment of our population, or certainly not for the betterment of the foreign population, but because some dudes want to make money a little bit easier.
And it's like, what do you realistically like stand to gain from this? Like,
literally nothing. Like, oil prices didn't go down during Iraq.
Exactly. Oil prices didn't go down during them. Oil prices won't go down during this, and if they ever do, it's going to be literally over a decade before we ever see the benefits of what's going to happen. More on that in a little bit. Like, it's just not something that is going to materialize and make your life better in any way in the short term, and most likely in the long term either.
It's also just like not worth creating a Venezuelan ISIS.
No, exactly.
Like,
Venezuelan ISIS, Venezuelan Hamas.
Yeah.
Like, the other thing too is like Trump came out here and said like, oh yeah, we're doing it for the oil. Trump is stuck on the oil. Are you not just like putting a target on the oil companies' backs? The oil companies that don't want to go into Venezuela and actually invest and rebuild the infrastructure? Because there's a complex history of Venezuelan nationalization of oil, and they kicked out like the Western oil companies and whatnot, just took over their resources. Venezuela owes billions of dollars to Chevron, Exxon, and like another one that's like less relevant or whatever that I can't remember. They don't want to go in. Chevron's the only Western company that actually operates in Venezuela and is extracting their heavy crude. Like, it's just, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because my first thought when this was going on was, oh fuck, Donald Trump like was doing collusion with oil oligarchs to get us to go disenfranchise another like Latin American nation or wherever nation. But I genuinely don't think that's the case, because I don't think that Trump colluded with oil execs, because the oil execs don't want to do it. Yeah. And when he says he does it for the oil,
as Farce, dog, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And like Marco Rubio and Trump have no like Halliburtons that they were the CEO or president of to make trillions of dollars doing like logistics on. They don't own the oil companies themselves. They're not even really like that close, maybe, despite oil being like a big donor. It just, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And when Trump says that the oil companies are the reasons that did this, is he not just putting a target on their back? Is he not just telling the Venezuelan ISIS that we'll start after we do whatever we want to do to go and bomb these oil companies because they're the reason we're disenfranchising your country? Yeah, because they're the reasons we put you in the shithole in the first place?
Yeah, like I can name political violence, but you're essentially setting up a win condition for them.
Exactly.
As long as they can make American companies' operation in Venezuela hard enough, you'll just pull out because you've already explained what this is about.
You said that's the stated goal. So if you can't do the goal, you'll leave. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I guess like the oil and gas companies, they could be like lying to the press and like saying, oh no, we had nothing to do with this, we have no plans about this, but like behind closed doors maybe they asked Trump to do this kind of thing. But like
I don't think they're lying because they have no incentive to invest in a region that they've already like been burned on in the past, and that will continue to be even more unstable than it has in the like right now.
Yeah.
And that's not me giving it to like evil oil companies. That's not me giving it to companies and saying, oh no, they won't prioritize short-term profits. I don't even think there's short-term profit like in this endeavor for them. It just does not make sense for American oil companies that Trump has said are the biggest and best in the world to go in and completely revamp Venezuela's production to get it from the current like 900,000 to 1 million barrels a day back up to 3 million or 4 million barrels a day. Yeah. Like they said the goals are to do. Yeah. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, that's why I think like from a logistics standpoint, it probably wasn't oil companies that said, hey, go do this for me. But from like a fascist aesthetic standpoint,
100%.
Trump wants to tout the idea that he's going in and like stealing the resources of this country that's lesser than us.
Well, it reminds me of tariffs. Like that's kind of my thing, is it made me think of tariffs in that Trump thought that he could just devise this plan that in his head is simple. With tariffs, it's I will simply impose tariffs on other countries and bully them into like accepting my will, accepting a deal that's better for America. And in this case, it's I will literally go and kidnap your president, blah, blah, blah. Yes, he's a dictator. That's conversation about that later. I will go and kidnap your president and destabilize your country because I think it will make like America better for America's interests. Like it feels like tariffs in that it was not thought through at all. There are no actual plans. He just wants to go and do a thing that makes him feel strong, makes him feel like a strongman leader, and in his mind makes him think that more money is going to come in because he's so deal-minded.
Yeah, I've been racking my brain for an analog for this. And like the obvious ones are like Panama in 1989 when George H.W. Bush went in and decapitated the Panamanian government. But Panama was like much smaller than Venezuela. And the guy who we went in and took out, and I think either we killed him or captured him or something like that, he was our guy at one point. Like we got him on these like the pretext for it was essentially drug charges, but like we went in and got him because like he wasn't operating in our interest anymore. And then there's obviously Iraq 2003 where we went in and got the bad guy, captured Saddam Hussein, and then essentially ran the country, created ISIS, all this kind of stuff. But the closest analog to this genuinely does just feel like Iran a few months ago.
Yeah.
Like because with Iran, we went in, we bombed Iran, we destabilized the country for no reason, escalated for no reason, and accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. Yeah. Like, obviously, this isn't like a nothing ever happened situation. We did, like, take their president. We kidnapped him.
Something certainly happened.
But the regime is still intact. The vice president just took over. We didn't take out any of the heads of military or like the generals or anything like that who are also charged with, like, similar drug trafficking charges. We just did this to like impose our will and look strong, and it's purely an escalatory and destabilizing measure. It's ridiculous.
Like, and speaking to the regime being intact too, like there's all this talk about elections. Marco Rubio was on Face the Nation. He was, I believe it was Face the Nation. Either if it wasn't, it was one of those things. And Marco Rubio was specifically asked like, well, will you hold an election? And he fucking laughed. And he's like, haha, no, why would I do that? There's other things to do right now. And in Venezuela, the vice president was sworn in, like the Maduro appointed vice president. The number 2 in the regime was sworn in as president, and the Venezuelan Supreme Court said, yeah, we don't have to do the constitutionally mandated 30-day elections after a president no longer can be the president anymore because this is only temporary.
Yeah.
So it's like they're staying in power. Like nothing, the regime has not changed.
Yeah.
If you were doing regime change, it'd be a little bit different. It's like they're kind of like starting to put their foot on the gas, but they're not really doing it.
It's like regime change in the stupidest possible way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's literally stupid.
Maybe it's like regime change in the kind of way that like a guy that would vote for Trump would think regime change.
Like Henry Kissinger fully thought through how they would like destroy and topple governments and then build them back up to serve U.S. interests.
Yeah.
These guys are just like, oh, we'll go get the guy that we don't like. Like,
if
that's
we just
it.
arrest this guy on fake charges, then we're good.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, these people are carried by the might of the U.S. military. If we did not have what we had in like being the largest, like a bigger military than what, like the next 6 countries combined, we would not be able to get away with any of this bullshit. We would not be able to have leaders that are this incompetent, just like throwing resources at a problem.
Someone needs to give Cuba a nuke yesterday so that we don't fuck with that, because that seems like what's next.
That does seem like what's
We'll get
next.
into that in a moment, though, because honestly, like, there's the conversation about the oil. Is it actually for oil? Is it not? Kind of confusing. But the more important bit from the quote that I read about 20 minutes ago is we're running the country. Yeah. What do you mean we're running the country?
Yeah, when Trump came on that press conference and said, we're just going to take it over, and then looked at Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth, one, running the country. 2, Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth running a country? Bro,
yeah, so Trump essentially has not explained how, quote unquote, we will run the country is going to work, at least as of Monday, January 5th. Maduro's successor, like we already said, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, has already appeared on television demanding the United States release Maduro, saying he's, quote, the only president of Venezuela. Maybe could be a performance from her if they cut like a backdoor deal, like she's publicly trying to tame Venezuela while they're angry about the U.S. abducting their leader, and at the same time, like placating Washington behind the doors or behind closed doors. Like, that might be the case. We don't know what deals were cut. It seems like there had to be some kind of insider on the side of the Trump regime that, like, essentially opened the doors to the kingdom and let them in to come get Maduro, right? There had to be something going on there. Not exactly sure what that is. But other than her, Trump essentially dismissed Maria Corina Machado, one of the public opposition leaders and a person who dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. He rejected the idea that she would take over the Venezuelan government.
Which is actually like so funny. And honestly, she deserves it for being so like awful.
Yeah.
I also saw a supercut of her. Like, I don't know how recent all of these clips are, but she was like, first thing I'm going to do when freedom wins in Venezuela is move our Israeli embassy from blah, blah, blah to Jerusalem. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Blah, blah, blah. She's like, Venezuela will be Israel's greatest ally. And it's like, man.
She also said she would completely privatize like all of the natural resource extraction.
Yeah, she said she'd give like $1.7 like trillion in like contracts to U.S. oil companies and whatnot, which is just like, okay, you're exactly the kind of you're like the prototypical CIA asset.
Yeah,
like you're exactly what I would think of.
Yeah, that's what she is. But it's hilarious that Trump just like dismissed her. He's like, nah, she can't do it. Like, she doesn't have the support.
He doesn't have support from them or us, frankly. Like, I'm just not gonna let this happen.
And then, like you said, he vaguely gestured at Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio as the people who might run Venezuela, which, as I said before, makes Iraq look like just a masterful piece of strategy. Going into Iraq, like, there was a sense that maybe they had thought it through and it looked really good at the very beginning, and then obviously things fell apart over the course of like a decade. But this shit immediately doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no plan. Like, the fact that they couldn't answer who's going to run the country now that you took him out, like, who's going to be like the U.S. sponsored person that runs the country. The fact that they couldn't answer that, they haven't even thought about that, tells me everything I need to know. Exactly.
Marco Rubio wouldn't even answer like why he didn't get other prominent members of the regime, why he just got the president and didn't try to get anybody else. Like, that's it. They just wanted to get the president to say, look, we got the top guy. It's all over. We won. Now everybody roll over and like we won.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's hard to compare it even to like Panama, where we went in, took out the guy, and then like installed the dude who we thought actually won the election the previous time. Because we didn't even do that.
Yeah.
We just took Maduro and left.
This doesn't even like, it's not even like America and their 3-letter agencies toppling another like Latin American government. No, this is just like Trump. It's just like Trump doing a Trump thing. Like, there's no careful planning, even if that careful planning leads to something evil and they know it's evil. It's just a guy who is obsessed with old school imperialism, surrounded by other people who are obsessed with old school imperialism, who just want to project strength onto other countries.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth at that press conference got out there and he said Maduro effed around, and he found out, brother.
It's a stupid guy's version of what empire looks like.
Yeah, exactly. This is what the kind of guy who goes and buys those novelty t-shirts at Mackinac Island that say like Trump with Nancy Pelosi on the back of a goddamn motorcycle or some shit, go out there and like think.
Yeah.
This is how those guys operate. And it's the most crazy thing. And I got to say, when I saw that Pete Hegseth quote, I immediately thought back to the HITO award show. And I was like, you know what? Pete Hegseth did deserve Corniest Man of the Year. If he's going to go out here and do shit like this after, like, I don't know, maybe this is the event that goes and spirals into kicking off World War III. If that's what we got to deal with, fuck, man.
Well,
who knows? That's corny.
That's why I said Venezuelan ISIS. Like, we went in and got Saddam, created a power vacuum, and then ISIS was formed because of us.
Yeah.
Like, we create terrorists everywhere because we are terrorists.
It's so crazy because there's not even a power vacuum. Like, so much of this just comes down to they didn't they're not doing what they're saying they're going to do, and what they're saying they want may not be what they actually want, and what they really want is just aesthetics. This administration runs on violent aesthetics, and that's it.
All balls and no dick, baby.
Fucking nothing.
All balls and no dick, I swear. So all in all, it's unclear if Venezuela is going to be like a perpetual occupation, although it seems less like that now, or just like a petro-vassal state where like Stephen Miller's the viceroy or some shit like that, or something else entirely. I don't know what this looks like. To me, like if we put like Exxon and Chevron on the ground, it seems like we'd have to have like U.S. troops protecting them.
Well, you absolutely have to,
like
or
Iraq.
else the Venezuelan ISIS is gonna come and goddamn bomb the oil rig.
But it's just not clear what this is gonna be right now. And honestly, maybe this is like a hot take, maybe this is a naive take. I could imagine them just not doing anything else. Like, we pull up, we took Maduro and his wife, and that's sort of like the end. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, wouldn't that be so sick? We just do that, and honestly, all of our efforts just focus on Maduro's trial in New York.
Mm-hmm. And nothing fundamentally changes, yeah.
I mean, and that is a real possibility. I don't think it's naive because, like, Marco Rubio, again, when he was on this interview, he was like, we're not actually going to take over Venezuela. We're not actually going to run it. We are just going to enforce the existing like oil sanctions that we have right now with our like naval force in the area. And it's like, oh, so you're just going to do the same bullshit and just hope that the regime, which is the same regime, rolls over and like follows your orders.
The same regime, just low-key like more angry because you took their guy.
Exactly. Like maybe that's what's going to happen, but then Trump goes on and he's like, yeah, we'll fucking do it again if they don't listen to us. Like you're just going to keep knocking off the next guy and next guy.
He said like the outcome would be worse for the now acting president than it was for Maduro, suggesting like we'll kill her essentially. Yeah. So like, yeah, like I don't know, man. Like a lot of this does seem like performance. A lot of this is just aesthetics, but that doesn't mean it's not entirely destabilizing.
Oh, 100%.
Like we invaded. Like that was an invasion of Venezuela. I know it was like a military operation or whatever the fuck they call it. But
it was
like,
an incursion into another country's sovereign territory.
We put boots on the ground. We bombed inside the nation's capital. Like, I don't know, man. That to me is escalatory for no fucking reason. But the reason I think it might not like blow over, but the reason I think they might just like stop is because the pretext that they established with like the fentanyl trade and stuff didn't exist already. So now they can say, oh, we solved it.
We got the guy who
just like with the DC crime rate shit.
Yeah, we got the guy who was doing the narco-terrorism. Narco-terrorism is over, guys. We solved the problem. Yeah. Everything is good. Welcome back. Peace in the world.
Yeah, I think Trump and his administration desperately needed a W, especially in the context of like the Epstein files really making things difficult for them. And so they just went and got this guy because they thought it would make them look cool.
Yeah.
That to me seems like the only, and maybe it's like a build up for like other operations they want to do against like Cuba or Colombia or whatever else.
Well, because then Trump went on and he said, Colombia, you're next. Colombia actually loves to go get Colombia. Colombia, an ally. And they're talking about Cuba. Cuba's going to fall on its own. We're going to get Cuba. Marco Rubio fucking hates Cuba. But honestly, in my mind, I was just getting off the award show talking about how I think Greenland's like the only actual distraction. Now, maybe there is a non-zero chance that we try to do some fuck shit in Greenland. Yeah. I don't know. Like, this is unpredictable. It shouldn't have even been in the realm of possibility that we actually go in and kidnap Maduro. It just wasn't something that was there. So maybe, I don't know, we do some fuck shit in Greenland. Maybe we put boots on the ground in Greenland. Maybe we go get Colombia. Maybe we just go on this goddamn tour of trying to like control every natural resource ever. Like we're an ancient empire. Yeah. And we're actually like fighting over who has enough silver to fill coffers or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like that's what Trump and Marco Rubio want to do.
It's absurd.
We've got the podcast. We've got the TikToks. Long form, short form. What about mid form?
We need that mid form.
We need mid form. That's not mid. And that's why you should check out the Head in the Office Substack. Absolutely. If you're a fan of the written word, if you're a fan of prose, if you're a fan of compelling writing, then you have to check out the Substack, headintheoffice.substack.com. You can find all of our think pieces, all of our opinions, and all of our summaries of the latest breaking news. In an infinitely more shareable format than this show. That's right. The perennial question that we always get to. Yeah. Can they do this? Oh. Can they do it? Is this legal? No, it's not. Of course it's not. It wasn't legal what they were doing before. And of course this isn't legal now. There's no declaration of war. There's no authorization for the use of military force. Congress was not even briefed on what this specific operation was. There is no legal basis to literally anything they've been doing in Venezuela at all. Yeah, for a long time. Yeah. Since the boat operation. From the boat operation till now, I don't think they've done a single legal thing. Yeah, no, you do need congressional approval to do shit like this. Like that is an
important piece of how the system works. I think it's less important than like doing imperialism.
Yeah.
Like imperialism is worse than a process issue, right?
Yeah.
A procedure issue. But the procedure matters.
And it was also like really funny to me to see JD Vance insert himself into the conversation and say shit like, guys, PSA.
Oh, I got that right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, JD Vance was trying out a legal argument, and this is what it was.
He
Quote,
was trying out a legal argument.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Because he wasn't involved in the press conference after. As Hegseth and Rubio, and I think Stephen Miller, he wasn't even there.
He was just he was doing the most vice president thing ever, being irrelevant.
He might not have known it was happening. He might not have even been aware.
Kept out of the situation room.
This is the legal argument that JD Vance was trying out. Quote, in PSA for everyone that was saying this is illegal, Maduro has multiple indictments in the United States for narco-terrorism. You don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the United States because you live in a palace in Caracas. This guy is so fucking annoying.
Guys, county sheriffs can't even go to the next county over and like have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Like you, even within the same goddamn state, in the same geographical area that small, sometimes in the same goddamn city, maybe even, like different police officers can't just go into another area and be like, yeah, this is my case now. You can't go into another fucking country and just say, oh yeah, we're invading you, we're gonna take this guy out illegally. Like that's just, why would that ever be the case?
And just think of the implications. Like, as long as the president can get the DOJ to issue an indictment for any foreign leader, that's like license for us to go and decapitate their government.
Yeah.
Imagine if another country did that to us, right? Like China had an indictment for Donald Trump. Would that give them license to come in and just take him out?
It'd be insane.
Take him back to like the Chinese mainland or whatever?
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
It'd be insane.
Like, and we would view that as an act of war. We would view that as an act of open aggression, unprovoked aggression.
We would say China just invaded us. We got Red Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. JD Vance, a special kind of fucking stupid, and I think he was feeling left out, so he had to throw his 2 cents in there.
But like shit like this really does make me think there's no way in hell he could win in 2028, right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be no way that a guy like that could go out and like have enough charisma to win the presidency.
Yeah, I mean, you do got to appreciate that the No New Wars ticket is doing a new war.
Yeah,
that is good.
Well, JD Vance, didn't he write that op-ed about like being against the Iraq War, and that's why he supported Donald Trump?
Yeah,
just because he wouldn't do this. And look at him trying to do the Iraq War, but like, I don't want to say like Donald Trump trying to do the Iraq War, but like worse in the way that they're going about it.
It's a stupid guy's Iraq War. It's a stupid guy's Iraq War.
Yeah. Precisely. Fuck, man, everything is so dumb. Literally, everything is so dumb.
Now, you might be wondering, what the hell are our Democrats doing in this moment? Well, the Senate is preparing to vote on a war powers resolution sometime this week, but the same shit failed in the House a few weeks ago. I know circumstances have changed. We'll see if anything happens there. Quick side note, a lot of people have honed in on this fact that, like, as I said before, Congress did not approve this regime change or attempted regime change or stupid guy's regime change, whatever, in Venezuela. Even if Congress gave approval, we should not be in favor of decapitating foreign governments, especially because we know with the litany of interventions the U.S. has done since the end of World War II, none of them end well.
Well, and that's why statements like what Hakeem Jeffries came out and had to say are like actually like so fucking annoying, because when we advance these like procedure first arguments, we're completely just like sidestepping any of the clear and obvious immorality of the situation. Because this is how House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries responded. He said in a statement, quote, "The Trump administration has not sought congressional authorization for the use of military force and has failed to properly notify Congress in advance of the operation in Venezuela. No single person gives a shit about whether or not Congress was notified about this. They care about us getting entangled in another war and another foreign conflict. I think one of the party's leaders should actually be able to grasp that fact and go out there and engage with it on those terms, not just on the terms of procedure."
Yeah, if we've learned anything, nobody gives a shit about the rules. And like,
exactly.
you can't play to the refs because it makes you look like a loser. What people genuinely care about is the waste of resources, taxpayer money, and the waste of like lives, American and foreign lives, when we engage in these military operations abroad.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people hone in on. And if all you're focused on is the fucking procedure, then there would have been nothing wrong to your mind about the Iraq War. Because George Bush got an AUMF for the Iraq War, and it was perfectly fine.
It just boils down to like, oh, we would have fucked with it if you asked us.
Yeah, the Alyssa Slotkin take, man.
How come you didn't ask me first? I would have let you go do that. Come on, dude. It's the most annoying goddamn thing ever. And this is what communicates to people that you're not principled in anything. This is why Donald Trump can pretend to occupy the Dove lane, the No New Wars lane, because you guys aren't taking any like meaningful stances when it matters. I will say a lot of Democrats have got out here and just like condemned this like flat out and point blank. But like seeing things like this from the party's appointed leaders is where it's just like, the legality of this should be an aside.
Yeah.
The legality of this should be something you talk about to just like bolster arguments. It shouldn't be what the argument spawns from. Nobody cares about law, especially when it comes to like international law.
Yeah.
That's not, because international law doesn't even really like matter. It doesn't, international law exists insofar as the international like powers at be are willing to enforce international law against each other. And so often they just aren't.
Yeah, and fucking like labor officials from the UK were like scared to say anything on public radio about it.
Yeah.
Like they were like, well, I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals. And it's like, dog, you can't say maybe he shouldn't like invade a neighbor for no reason. Like, I don't know, man. If like other nations aren't willing to do anything about what the US is doing, then like international law just doesn't exist.
And we just spent 4 or 5 years or however long it's been since the Afghanistan pullout talking about how the wars in the Middle East were a mistake, Iraq was a mistake, Afghanistan was a mistake, that was really bad, guys, let's never do that, the war on terror failed, to just then turn around and try and do the war on terror 2, the war on narco terror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing is real ever. Nobody has any principles ever. Everyone is always against the thing that happened in the past. And when it's sitting there and staring you right in the face in the most plain and obvious way it possibly could, everyone's like, oh no, it's different this time, guys.
Yeah.
It's different this time.
Like nation building in Afghanistan was a fucking failure. The Taliban took over right away.
Yep.
Nation building in Iraq was a fucking failure. Literally like hundreds of thousands of people died during our time in Iraq. Nation building in Libya was a fucking failure under Barack Obama. Like it's not easy to do this.
Yeah.
And it fails almost every time.
But what if we just tried one more time?
One more nation building.
One more time, guys. I promise like we can do it. But like those places were far away. What about a place that's closer? What about a place that's closer, guys? I think we can still do it.
It's just so fucking stupid. And at least with like the other one, and you know, the other ones, I'm never going to justify them. But at the very least, like Libya, the UN was on board. Yep. Iraq and Afghanistan, the UN was on board. Congress gave the AUMF. Like all, like they were.
The American people were on board.
Like at the very least, like there was an attempt to like sell the project. This, they're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. It's ridiculous, man.
It's ridiculous and it sucks. But I want to stay on this Democrat lane. Because, like, although, like, yeah, Republicans are doing the really evil, awful, like, Nazi thing right now, who would I be if I didn't take some time to shit on Democrats?
Gotta shit on Democrats,
because
man.
Sometimes they really are one and the same. And so Axios spoke to some centrist Democrats under the conditions of anonymity to see what they thought about the party's combative stance against Maduro's capture. And this is what they had to say, dude. I'm going to preface this by saying moderate Democrats are creatures from hell. Like Axios spoke to Beelzebub, Mullick, and Satan to get their opinion on what happened with the Maduro capture. From Axios, quote, some of the party's swing district and centrist members firmly believe that approach as in like getting Maduro risks backfiring with average voters and that the party shouldn't reflexively condemn Trump at every turn, no matter how provocative his moves. These centrists think that people are seeing us possibly start a new war, invade another country, and say, like, you guys are just like, you guys have Trump derangement syndrome.
Dog, that's
centrist Democrats throwing out TDS accusations.
It's not reflexively condemning whatever Trump does. It's saying, like, hey, I don't want our country doing another regime change war because it's a waste of resources and lives.
Yes. These are the quotes from the centrist Democrats. Maduro is bad. Glad he's gone. You can't have it both ways. Everything Trump touches must be bad, according to the base.
Oh my God,
like,
brother.
It's Maduro's a dictator. Yes. Maduro fucking sucks. Yes, he did a lot of bad things in Venezuela. He made Venezuela a shithole to live in for a lot of people. 25% of the country is like fucking left. 20% of the citizenry has fled. He was a bad guy. You can't just like do bad things to like get a bad guy out and like not expect it to be okay. And whether or not Maduro is a dictator, whether or not it's better for the world, or whether or not whatever the situation on the ground was, what matters here is the trying to engage in regime change.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about this. A lot of people are trying to do the celebrating Maduro's thing way. A lot of people are trying to say, like, well, Venezuelans are separate and you got to be happy. I've seen a litany of conservatives get into every comment and say, oh, the no dictators crowd when a dictator finally gets taken away. And it's like, it matters how things happen. Yeah. It mattered how we got Saddam because it didn't like fucking work. Exactly. It mattered what happened to Gaddafi because it didn't fucking work. It mattered what happened in Libya because it didn't fucking work. It mattered what happened literally everywhere because it never fucking works
Exactly.
when we do it this way. And that's the most important part of the conversation, is that regime change is just bad.
Well, like there was a line from Dick Cheney around the time of the Iraq War where he said, "We will be greeted as liberators."
Yeah.
Like it's the same shit every time. And there were Iraqis that were celebrating in the streets of Iraq after Saddam Hussein was captured by us. And look how that went.
Yeah.
There was untold amounts of death and destruction because of us.
It's fucking sucks.
It has nothing to do with the guy. Like, sure, Maduro, bad guy, fuck it, whatever. It has nothing to do with the actions we decide to take with our taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And the fallout and destabilization that will cause. Like, we cannot continue to do this. It is not a stable way to make countries like better or do what we want, especially considering that, like, we didn't get Maduro because we want Venezuela to be better.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't give a shit about Venezuelans. Trump has been demonizing Venezuelans since before he came into office this time.
Trump said, I want the oil.
What he cares about is extraction and being perceived as a strong fascist boy.
Yeah.
That's all this is about.
No, that's literally it. And that's why it's so crazy to see centrist Democrats, members of the Democratic Party, go out and say, you have Trump derangement syndrome for thinking that this is bad. That's fucking insane, but that's not where it ends. Another quote, as Democrats, we can't just condemn what happened. I wish the Democratic Party would be a little more measured on this. Motherfucker, what is there to be measured about? There's no love lost for like what happened to Maduro.
Yeah.
But there is like pain that's going to happen to the people of Venezuela if things continue on this same trend. Like, it's just, how fucking stupid do you have to be?
Yeah, they want to turn it into like a petro-vassal state. And that has nothing to do with like Maduro being good or bad for the country.
Yes.
That has everything to do with the actions we decide to take and what we're going to subject innocent people to. Like, what are we talking about? Not to mention that, again, we left the entire regime intact. Like, all of the military leaders that are indicted on some of the same charges as Maduro's vice president, they're all still there.
Like, even if you're a Democrat and you think like it's so fucking dope and cool that we went and kicked out this dictator, yeah, haha, regime change is good. Actually, they didn't change the regime. They didn't do anything. They're not going to meet any of their goals. The fucking oil production shit is going to be an impossible tall task to happen. There is at most minuscule benefits that we can get in the short term from this without literally hundreds of billions of dollars in investment to building this thing back up. It's just not something that's going to benefit anyone, anywhere, anytime soon.
Yeah.
How can you be pro this? That's why these guys are creatures from hell.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced they're creatures from hell. A third centrist House Democrat said, quote, I think it looks weak. If you don't acknowledge where there is a win for our country, then you lose all credibility.
You're talking about looking weak. You're speaking to Axios anonymously.
Yes.
And you're talking to us about looking weak?
Yes.
Put your fucking name on that opinion, dumbass. What the hell?
And you're scared because you're in a swing district. Like, are you fucking serious right now? These people are shameless. These people need to be kicked out of the party because you're honestly a Republican. You are a neocon, brother.
Yeah.
You think the regime change is cool. You think that America is right to exercise its influence on the Western Hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere, the wherever the fuck hemisphere that it wants to. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's
not
bad
right.
for human life, which should be the chief concern of anybody in government, but here the fuck we are.
Exactly. And then one of the House Democrats also went on to say, quote, what happened to when they had the election and Maduro stole the election? There were Democrats condemning that. Motherfucker.
Well, so that gives us license to go and
invade.
You know how many bad leaders there are in the world?
So many.
We're going to invade all of them and take them all out?
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. Where do we draw the line?
On its face, it's ridiculous. These people are spineless cowards. And they're almost as bad as the people who are actually trying and doing the fake regime change or whatever the fuck you want to call what happened on January 3rd.
Yeah.
They're just as bad as Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and all these people that want to just make the American empire an empire again.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly obvious to me that despite this administration trying so desperately to distance themselves from the neoconservatives they claim to hate, the invasion of Venezuela and the capturing or fucking kidnapping of Maduro was so clearly based off of Iraq, 2003. But it was a stupid person's version of Iraq because they didn't actually think this through in any real way.
Yeah, they're neocons, but like they are neocons, but a dumber version of them.
Yeah.
But a worse version of them that that like is a neocon for like all the wrong reasons. Because at least like there's an argument to be made that the neocons in the Iraq war genuinely thought that we could possibly go into Iraq and rehabilitate it and make it like this Western country, like how what happened to like Germany post World War II was. That's not like that didn't work, even when they genuinely maybe thought that it could have worked. If they even genuinely thought it could work, that's a charitable interpretation. And it's certainly not going to work now when you don't even believe that that could work, and you just want to be the bully in the backyard.
It's just like they used like the same justifications, right? They said that in Iraq there were weapons of mass destruction and that Saddam Hussein was connected to Al-Qaeda, and so we need to go in. It plunged us into a years-long war, led to America creating like a transition government, the creation of ISIS and all this stuff. And now the Trump administration tells us that fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction, and Nicolás Maduro has connections to Tren de Aragua, even though we know that like these are just lies that the administration has made up. And the pretext is even the same. Like it's oil, right? They're going to these countries for oil. Like it's ridiculous, man. It's all the same shit.
It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's so dumb, and I hate it. I'm just so tired.
Yeah. Oh God, what else to talk about on this?
Honestly, we can take some talk about Little Marco's comments.
Okay.
Because I think Little Marco's comments are important in contextualizing this as like an empire building effort, because Trump is doing the oil thing, Trump is doing all this stuff, but Little Marco is really where we see that like we just want to control the Western Hemisphere, because he says exactly that much over the weekend. I have this one quote here, quote, "We care about elections, we care about democracy, we care about all of that, but the number one thing we care about is the safety, security, well-being, and prosperity of the United States, and that's what we're going to focus on first and foremost here." He also said, quote, "What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent," Rubio said. "This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live, and we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States."
Dog, it's a global economy.
It's a global economy. And like that's like literally, I'm not even like doing analysis here when I say that he just wants to run the Western Hemisphere, because he's telling you he wants to run the Western Hemisphere. And that's why I started off the show by saying this is about oil. This isn't about oil as a commodity to be bought and sold. This is about oil as a natural resource, which is a substitute for power to be controlled and like divvied up between who you want. Yeah. It's about kind of like power broking it. You know what I mean? Like that's all this is. Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserve. Controlling that represents controlling a whole lot, really. Yeah. It's like a whole lot. And even if it's not dealing a direct blow to China, because Venezuelan exports of oil into China make up like a relatively small percentage of what they actually import. Yeah. It's about stopping China from being able to influence Venezuela, because they were buying up 50% of Venezuela's oil exports.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. To the extent that it's about oil and enriching the United States because you're getting oil, is the fact that like, I don't know, Venezuelan crude is made in diesel and U.S. Gulf refineries have the ability to refine diesel, and there's just you could transfer what's going to China to the United States, and oil companies would be happy about that. But to actually go into the country, to go into Venezuela, it would cost like over $100 billion and literally over a decade to actually be able to revamp oil production to any like meaningful amount that would get the United States money. This is solely about like curbing the influence of people that are our stated adversaries and controlling the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. And it like sucks.
Yeah, without concern for the Venezuelan population. Because the main like line I've seen, other than just like we should control everyone because we're better than them, is essentially like, oh, Venezuelan people are celebrating. People in Venezuela are celebrating. The Venezuelan diaspora, people in the United States are celebrating now. And so you shouldn't be so critical of what the United States has done here. But again, they are doing this with complete disregard for who is actually going to be hurt in Venezuela. And again, they left the regime intact, the regime responsible for all the pain that people have been criticizing the Venezuelan government for the last like decade or so. Nothing is fundamentally changing. If anything, it's going to get worse because we have purposely destabilized the region, and we might be hitting fucking Cuba and Colombia next for no reason.
For no reason at all. And like, it could just happen whenever.
Imperialism does not make the home country, the imperial core, any safer because it radicalizes countries and populations against us. Look at what happened in 2003 in Iraq. We took out Saddam. We got the bad guy. Dick Cheney said we will be greeted as liberators, and then we literally created the conditions for ISIS. Like, we create terrorists everywhere we go because in every imperial expedition, we fucking crush the country beneath our palm. Yeah. It is, and that's the same shit that's going to happen here. because they don't care about the civilian population. They don't care about the population here at home. They care only about controlling other countries and terrorizing them. Like, that's the purpose of this shit, and it sucks.
Yeah, just to make one guy like feel big in the head about it. Just to make like a couple guys that are just in power feel powerful, feel like they can go and do anything, feel like they can walk around and like bully other countries into doing their will.
Yeah, but that's why like everyone that's doing, it's not even like a purity test, but they're essentially saying that like, well, isn't Maduro bad? Isn't he a bad guy and isn't getting him good? That's like not even the point.
Exactly.
Like, it's not even a consideration here because they don't care that he's bad. Trump just pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was worse than Maduro.
Yeah, he said the shit about shoving cocaine into gringos' noses.
Exactly. Like, no, none of this is actually about Maduro. It's about control and it's about projecting strength. And all of that shit sucks. It's not going to make our lives better. It certainly won't make lives better in Venezuela. And it does nothing to stabilize the region of Latin America as a whole. It sucks. The primary thing.
And I think the order of operations goes like this was an operation that was first and foremost about projecting strength onto the world, then about curbing adversaries' influence in our backyard, and then it like lower from that, it's about like actually like what we can do with oil as it is a commodity. So crazy. And it's like, that's so backwards to me because it's like all of these other wars we have in the past. We have Iraq and we have like the invasions in the Middle East, the incursions in the Middle East. And it's like, oh, that's about oil. And then we finally have a guy that comes out and says, this one's about oil. And it's like the least about oil. Like, what the fuck is going on, man? Everything's backward. Everything is a stupider version of a stupid thing that came before.
Yeah. And again, it's totally just a dumb guy's version of Iraq. Like, I don't understand how you can look at the last 70 years of U.S. interventions and think like, oh yeah, Venezuela, that'll go well.
For sure. We got it this time.
Like what? There was like maybe like one or two that actually like went the way that we intended. Well, I guess I shouldn't say intended because sometimes the intent is evil, but there was like one or two that weren't like a net negative for humanity. And that was like us rebuilding Germany after World War II, which was like, again, a global commitment. And maybe there was like another one in there in the last like 70 years or so.
Way different circumstances.
Exactly. Way different circumstances. But like the last 70 years of interventions, they have all resulted in death and destruction and wanton killing and brutality and making places worse and radicalizing populations against us. This isn't going to be any different, especially because Trump does not give a fuck about Venezuelans. So I'm just like, I'm tired of the people who are like, oh, well, you need to consider how some people might be happy to see Maduro go. Yeah, fine. Like, Maduro, bad guy. But that's not what this is about.
No, not at all.
Like, for anybody involved, nobody cares about the well-being of the Venezuelan people, and I think that's bad. I think that we should be much kinder to our neighbors, and we should work on building up each other and establishing diplomatic relationships and working together and, you know, making sure everybody is subjected to the same level of like human rights so that we can all live happily. But we're not even anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
Instead, I have to contend with people that are like, oh, you should go ask the Venezuelans. Which ones?
Which ones?
Well, because there's plenty of people that recognize this for what it is, and it's another instance of the U.S. meddling in Latin America to serve either corporate interests or just to make Trump feel better about himself.
That's also just like so annoying. The point about like, oh, Venezuelans are happy about this. It's like, yes, which ones? Because every politician everywhere, really any person who's trying to influence other people loves to cynically weaponize the identity of like marginalized people and treat them as if they're this monolith, as if Venezuelans can't have complex feelings about this as well, as if any other group can't have complex feelings about a dictator going out but a worse circumstance also happening, or a circumstance that's also bad happening. It's just so ridiculous every single time. But it is really funny that the No New Wars guy and the America First is doing this, because apparently America First is when you invade Venezuela, then you invade Colombia, then you invade Cuba, then fuck it, you invade Greenland. Like, what are we talking about?
And before that, you bombed Iran.
And before that, you bombed Iran.
And exactly. You might go after Greenland too. Like, what are we talking about? Like, half the countries on that list are U.S. allies.
Yeah.
So, like,
I think the analysis, like, what makes me think like, fuck, maybe there really is a non-zero chance to go for Greenland is because when Trump was talking about Greenland again recently, he was talking about how China's constantly got ships that are patrolling the area. So much of what I think we can expect from geopolitics and American foreign policy is going to be curbing China's influence, curbing Russia's influence, curbing Iran's influence, and making tensions worse in the world by going out and doing these things. I will not be surprised when we escalate tensions with Cuba, when we do something bad to Cuba, because Cuba has close ties with Russia.
Yeah, but like the actions like this are what push those countries towards Russia or China's sphere of influence.
Well, it pushes other countries towards them as well.
Like in this, it makes sense in the way that like we've obliterated our soft power over the last year.
Yeah,
like cutting education funding, cutting basically every aspect of U.S. soft power has been annihilated by the Trump administration.
We got Japan, South Korea, and China to do a trilateral trade agreement because of our tariffs. They hate each other. They don't like to do that.
Yeah. And so, like, as we become more aggressive, these countries will just look to other hegemons like China or Russia for assistance because we're being dickheads to them and we're trying to invade.
Yeah.
And again, it radicalizes populations against us and it gets them to push towards our quote unquote adversaries. None of this makes any fucking sense.
Well, it also makes it easier for us to just like go out there and I don't know, fuck it, start a war with Iran. Like the more we like I curb their influence on our own backyard, take control of the Western Hemisphere, the easier it is to justify like going to war with these other people.
Yeah.
It makes the world less safe. It's like when we were talking about tariffs and how there's this global like web of complex trade that's always happening, and you don't want to get into a war because it hurts your own economy because somehow you're always going to be connected to another place in some other place due to like this big web of manufacturing and whatnot. The more and more Trump talks about we need to bring American manufacturing back here, we need to be self-reliant, we need to do all this, is the more and more he opens up to the possibility of, yeah, we should just go to war with Iran and China and Russia because it's infinitely more possible. It's more feasible to do that when you cut ties with everybody else. Yeah. Globalization is good because it makes the world safer.
Yeah, and we're essentially at a point where like we're relying on every other country that we push around to be a more rational actor and not attack back in a way that would cause like open war. Like we essentially just have to hope that like if we go after Iran again, they don't do something crazy. And like the fact that Iran has been far more measured than we or Israel have been in the last several years is just crazy.
It's actually so funny.
Like Iran is like the most level-headed about this stuff.
Especially when Israel was just bombing them like every other week. They're like, guys, we're gonna get you.
Yeah, yeah. Iran bombs like Iran's capital city, and they just hit a U.S. or like a military installation that nobody's at.
They hit a military installation that no one's at, or they're like, we're gonna get you. We vow great retaliation, and then they say, hey guys, we're sending drones your way. Yeah, feel free to shoot them down. Exactly.
Like it's just, man, we really are the bad guys. It's not great.
We're the bad guys, and I fear that we're making ourselves a pariah state. But while Israel has also made itself a pariah just throughout like the United Nations and like from everyone that's good, really. The U.S. doesn't have the U.S. to bankroll and run cover for the U.S. when we do something bad like Israel does. Israel can get away with its genocide in Gaza. Israel can get away with doing awful things to its neighbors because the U.S. will always give them more and more and more and more and more and more trillions of dollars or whatever the fuck we're giving them to do these military operations, and will always defend them at the UN Security Council.
Yeah.
We don't have like a bigger dog to help us out.
Yeah.
We're just kind of on our own, and we're pushing ourselves into isolation.
Yeah, but I guess it just depends if like Europe is going to lock in and do anything.
You see, they're all Europe kind of is infinitely cucked.
They're all just bitch made. Like none of them are standing up to like the strongest statement I saw out of another country, like an allied country, was from Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum always standing on business.
Trump also not condemned. He also called out Mexico. He's like, fuck it, maybe we do it to Mexico. Their leader's not popular. Claudia Sheinbaum is immensely popular.
It's like 80%.
She's awesome.
Yeah. No, Claudia Sheinbaum is absolutely cooking. But like, I don't know. And like Mexico, one of the closest U.S. allies ever.
Yeah.
Like it's just
literally on our board.
I just like, I think some of this depends on if any other country will be like, hey, stop. Because they could. They could come together and tell us to stop, but like they're kind of bitch made.
Eurocuck's infinitely cucked. Eurocuck do something challenge. Impossible. Eurocuck stand up to the United States challenge. I don't know.
Or just say like, hey, invading another country is bad. Like another sovereign nation, don't do that.
There was just a meeting with the UN Security Council, I think like an hour ago, and I think France did that. But it's like, it doesn't feel like any of it's like enough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this will hinge on the idea that like, they didn't, like, did they really do anything? I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah, no, it feels insane to talk about.
Because I feel like I'm talking myself into circles and analyzing myself into circles because it's like, okay, this, and then it just doesn't end up being the thing. And like, ultimately, like, there was no regime to be changed. There's really no power vacuum going on right now. There's a new president. All the same fucking people are there. Like, it's still like the same corruption going on. Nothing is going to fundamentally change unless more bad things happen. I wouldn't put it past this administration to do more bad things, but like I also wouldn't put it past this administration to have no dick.
Yeah, like when Nixon and Kissinger supported the overthrow of Salvador Allende in Chile, like there was a clear goal there. They wanted to open up like all of Chile's like mineral deposits to privatization, right?
Yeah.
Western investment, and then extract the resources out of the country, which Pinochet allowed them to do over the course of like 20 years or something like that. There was a clear end goal, and the evil they were doing was in service of an end goal. I just find myself asking, what the fuck are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
And if the thing they're trying to do is just a performance, then it's just an ongoing thing that never is like done. Yeah. They have to just keep imposing themselves on these countries. And I think that's what's going to happen when it comes to like Cuba or Colombia or whoever the fuck comes next. Like we're just imposing ourselves on these countries, not fundamentally changing anything, but just doing escalatory actions for fun, essentially. Like, just because we've run out of things to do here, I guess.
Especially because it's like to actually like get the oil production up and running in Venezuela again, like it just costs too much. There would be too many guarantees that the U.S. would have to engage in. There would be too much involvement that the U.S. has to have directly with Venezuela or with boots on the ground in Venezuela to like make it possible at all. There's also the other aspect of Venezuela owes like Chevron, Exxon, and another like oil company billions and billions and billions of dollars. If they're out that, why would they still want to go back in there? The United States would have to guarantee that they get their money back fucking somehow. They'd have to guarantee so much stability for anybody to do anything, and that's also bad. All of these things are bad. It's all just one big shitty situation that stands to get shittier depending on what the next move is.
Yeah, and it seems to me like during the Cold War, we had a clear like aggressor or a clear opponent on the world stage, right? We could essentially blame everything that we ever needed to do on combating communism, the policy of containment, all this sort of things. That justified essentially endless military action. Then we had the war on terror, and a lot of people soured on that because it's like, we're just sending our people to die and we're accomplishing literally nothing. And now, as the empire is still struggling to support its domestic population, support the economy of its domestic population, and as the empire is essentially unwilling to regulate capital, the only other thing it can do is like go after minorities and start foreign wars. So, and like that's what this administration does, because like what else do you do, right? You got to seem busy, and the way you can seem busy is by killing people abroad. The congregation is missing someone. And that someone, dear listener, is you. The congregation awaits you over on our Discord. If you go into the description of this episode right now, there will be a link to join the Head in the Office Discord, where you will find more than 1,000 like-minded individuals for you to interact with. And maybe most importantly, we'll be there.
1,000 members strong. It is a burgeoning community of HITO heads.
That's right.
Ready to receive you into their arms. Make you a part of the community. Vest you as a HITO head.
Over on Discord, we have discussions. You can interact with other HITO heads. And maybe, for some fun, we can do some community events. And we know that you want to be a part of that. Only available over on the official Head in the Office Discord.
And I think the thing that really tips us off and makes me believe that this is truly just like a fascist dick measuring contest, just a way for them to project their hard dick onto the world, is the fact that a New York Times article came out in October of this year. So just, well, of last year, I guess. So like 3 months ago, that said that it talked to a senior White House aide that was responsible for negotiating with Maduro. And it talked to multiple members from Maduro's team. And it said that Maduro was willing and offered to give the United States access to all of its oil and all of its gold, and would cut ties with Iran, China, and Russia in exchange for them to just like continue what they were doing, like have an allyship or whatever. That's what Venezuela was willing to give up. That's everything that Trump states that he wants. But we didn't do it. We didn't take the diplomacy because diplomacy is weak and fake and gay and liberal.
Exactly.
And alternatively, we should just do big dick, hard dick fascism. Because diplomacy is like flaccid or something.
I think, I mean, I can understand the criticism that like, oh, we can't take Maduro at his word. He's not a good guy. Like he probably, is being disingenuous or, some shit like that. But like,
then you have more context created. You have more consent manufactured. You have more of a reason to actually do something if he goes back on like whatever diplomatic agreement you came to.
And once you get it in writing, you got it in writing.
Exactly.
Like once you sign something, it's like, oh, well, this is ours now.
Yeah, once you get it in writing, then Alyssa Slotkin's like, oh yeah, go kill him. Like go for sure, go capture him or something. Like, it's so much easier to go do what he just did, but he just wants to do it. They just want to go and do the awful thing. They want to do the thing that looks the most violent all the time because that's the thing that's going to look coolest on the Situation Room TV. But
even if you only got like half of what you wanted out of an official agreement with Maduro, like that's still a far more stable environment for resource extraction than being at like occupying the nation. Like, well, I don't know, man. Again, that's what makes me think like the only common thread here is that they want to be seen as strong and powerful, but they don't actually know what they're doing. It's a stupid man's imperialism.
So sick.
Stupid guy imperialism, man. I don't know if we got much more to say on this.
No.
I definitely wrote down just a ton of random shit preparing for this show.
That's kind of how I felt too, is like I sat down and I was like, okay, I just need a scratch pad. Like I just need a place that I can write down all my random fucking thoughts and then attempt to like put them into show notes. But it's like, I'm befuddled, man.
Yeah.
This whole situation is just wrong, frankly.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Of course, we'll keep monitoring the situation as your war correspondents here at Head in the Office. But for now, I think that might be the end of our war coverage today.
It does. Keep in mind, all of this information could be wrong and changed by Wednesday.
That's true. That's why you got to be a patron.
By Wednesday, Cuba could be felled. Exxon could own Venezuela. And I don't know, Greenland's got American troops on the ground.
It's going to be awesome when we do Bay of Pigs 2. And it's the same result. We just completely fuck it up.
So sick, man.
Like, because Venezuela, like, must have been like we had to have had a guy on the inside. Yeah. Someone that, again, opened the doors to the kingdom, let us come in under conditions of peace, and, no U.S. service members died at the very least. But eventually, if they get ambitious enough, they're going to fuck something up. And one line I heard repeated many times is that operations like this, like Iraq, for example, regime changes always look best on the first day, right?
Yeah.
Because you have something to point to, some type of success that you underwent that you can point to. But every day after that is just going to get continuously worse as they don't have answers to the press's questions, or as conditions deteriorate because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, or they can't manage this other country, because forcibly changing a country and doing nation building is really, really difficult. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep monitoring it. But Jesus Christ, man.
The not having answers to press's questions really is so funny, because they don't have any answers to press's questions. Marco Rubio literally got on every interview, and anytime he was asked a question that's like low-key valid, he would just be like, what?
yeah.
Why are you asking me that?
Yeah, like he was asked why he didn't grab the other guys that also have indictments along with Maduro for like the same shit, and he was like, "What? You want me to get all 5 of them?" Yeah, like, I mean, that's what you said you were doing.
You want me to do my job as I stated it was? What are we talking about here? You want to hold me to account? Ridiculous.
It's fucked up. Any other news other than war?
Well, I think really the only other piece of news other than the war that's worth talking about would be what Grok AI is up to right now. Because over the weekend, I woke up Saturday morning, opened my phone, as I usually do when you wake up. What else am I supposed to do when I wake up except stare at my phone and fry my eyeballs? Saw we were at war with Venezuela. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm trying to scroll through Twitter to figure things out. And all I'm seeing is, I guess Grok had this new update, and every picture of any woman was just followed by Grok put her in a bikini.
Yeah.
And I got to say, guys, being a woman on the modern internet has got to be a special kind of hell that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah, man.
Because it is insane the lengths that dudes will go to just like, I don't even want to say like sexualize you, because this feels worse, like pornographize you.
Yeah, no, it's really bad.
Like, what do you mean? And then you're seeing reports of dudes looking at pictures of minors being like, Grok put her in a bikini. Yeah. And it's like, my mind didn't even think that like that's what people would be doing with like generative AI, but like, why wouldn't people be doing that with generative AI? I feel like every technological advancement that we've ever had has just either been happened because of porn, or has been used in porn in like new and unique ways that only the most debaucherous minds could come up with.
Yeah, I will say, like, I didn't expect this to be a development out of AI, at least not so quickly, but I've been on the anti-AI wave for quite a while.
Huge.
And this is one of the reasons that you should be against it, because it is just, yeah, it's hard to put into words, but it's just violating people.
Exactly.
Like,
it's just violating
pure
people.
violations.
Exactly. It's just violating people and allowing people to like generate like CSAM.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked up,
yeah,
guys.
Elon Musk's Twitter is generating like the worst imaginable shit.
Like, I woke up to evil, the invasion of Venezuela, and then I just have to be subjected to more evil, fucking scrolling past a picture of Ike Spice into 30 different comments, be like, Grok put her in a bikini, Grok put her in this, Grok put her in underwear. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
I wish we could go back to Grok, is this true?
Grok, is this true?
Grok, is this
man?
true?
Take me back.
Take me back. Do you got anything else that's worth talking about?
The other thing I was thinking about was just like the Somali, Minnesota, Minneapolis thing.
Yeah.
Not a ton to say in that, because I feel like a lot of our contemporaries have sort of proven how much this dude was just fucking lying for no reason.
It's just a dude going to a daycare and being like, show me all the kids.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because it's like, your president currently undergoing a controversy because of his connections to like the pedophile king.
Yep.
And then you're pulling up to distract from that. You're pulling up to daycares and saying, "Show me kids."
Like the first with a camera, with like a video crew being like, show me all the kids, I want to get them on camera.
Yeah, like you're a right-wing influencer. You're trying to distract from the fact that Trump is probably a pedophile. Your first inclination is to go up to daycares and be like, show me the kids. No, wait, fuck.
Let me put these kids on video. Fuck. Let me take pictures of these kids. Fuck.
It's just, it's so funny. But yeah, bro's been thoroughly debunked, so I don't think there's much more we can say on that, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's awesome. What a fucking yeah. The holidays, usually like the week between Christmas and like New Year's, nothing is supposed to happen. But I feel like everything happened, and then we get back ready to talk about it, and so much more happened that just everything happens all the time now.
It used to be a strategy of like Washington to release controversial stuff during like the holiday time because people wouldn't pay attention. But now everyone's on their phones all the time.
Yeah.
And when you're with your family on your phone, you'll just talk to your family about it. So I don't know. I don't think it's very effective anymore.
You just talk about Interlochen Music Camp or whatever it was. Yeah. You just talk about like all this other shit. Because that Epstein Files release was insane, befuddling, really.
Yeah.
Actually, like they said the sensationalist claims thing. They preempted the release with that. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay. They're just using that to cover for Trump. But fuck, were those claims something?
Yeah, and they're like, Trump is literally the devil. Trump went to Lake Michigan and committed untold horrors.
Trump went to Lake Michigan and killed somebody. And it's like, oh my God, okay.
Man,
Trump was just in the back of an Uber driver talking about murder. It's like, fuck.
Maduro getting arrested before anybody in connection to Epstein. What a world, man.
Yeah. And we forgot to talk about how this has all just been a distraction from the most important news story that happened this week, that being Drake and Aiden Ross got hit with the RICO.
Oh.
Nobody's been talking about that because of Venezuela.
My favorite Jewish rapper, Drake. God damn it.
Fuck, man. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
We might just get hit with the RICO and then they did. God, fuck.
It's not fair. It's an unfair world we live in. And I think that's all we can say.
I think that's what we got to say about it. You know, I haven't been able to dedicate the brain power to the most important issue because I've been distracted. Mm-hmm. Look at what they're distracting you from.
Distraction politics, baby.
Distraction politics. It's back in a big way in 2026. It's not going away. But what else isn't going away?
Spotify reviews.
It's these Spotify reviews that we try and read every week.
That's right. This first one from Lucian MCM. 5 stars out of 5. First of all, I am happy to call myself a Wednesday weenie and a Friday freeloader. Well, you shouldn't be, quite frankly. You should become
true.
You should get on the Monday mandate. I listen to you guys when I'm driving home from work in the commuter hellscape that is the New York State capital region, Albany, forever changing the meaning of roadhead to me. I don't know which one is Jeremy or which one is Gage, but phonetically your voices have undeniable chemistry together.
White guy.
So true. I fuck with the book reviews. You guys should do Heated Rivalry next. I don't know what that one is.
Oh, that's the gay hockey one.
Oh.
It's like, I think it's a show on HBO now.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it as like the title card on HBO.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of like edits talking about it.
That's not politic book.
That's not politic book. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, nothing.
Trying to get me to read smut book?
No, I'm not reading that.
Ridiculous. This next one from Cad Aver, 325 milligram aspirin stars out of 81 milligrams. This is my independent review of HITO's independent review of Karine Jean-Pierre's Independent. The only time I've seen more round glazing was when I would go watch the hot, fresh Krispy Kreme donuts being made, while I would never see myself adding this book to my emergency bathroom roll book pile. Guys, it's been a long fucking week.
It's true.
It's so much information. I appreciate these two independent Midwest boys took one for us to give this book a fair shot, though really this book could have been an email. That book could have been an email. That's
heavy
huge facts.
Next one from Still the Mind, 5 out of 5 stars. As a Gen Xer in NCIN, something.
Oh, shit.
I don't know what those fucking acronyms mean, whatever. I am daily appalled by my peers. These quirked up white boys give me hope that my generation hasn't completely fucked things up. I appreciate your takes on the book, The Bidenization of Jen Psaki. Great review.
Thank you. This next one from True B, 5 glowing stars out of 5. An Apple user who reviewed the pod on my second week of listening after coming to the show from YouTube via that John Fetterman video essay like a year ago, #wear a suit. And I've got to say, these caked up, Midwest white boys continue to bring the good to great takes. Something about condemning political violence, Hamas, do-nothing Democrats, the diabolical shit brought on by the current administration, and finally, this ridiculous book. Yeah, guys, pretty soon we're going to have to start condemning Venezuelan ISIS. And it's going to get real fucked up.
Next one from ANZ, 5 out of 5 stars. New year, first-time reviewer. Hi, I've been a listener for about 3 years now, ever since the Russia-Ukraine stuff popped off, and I've learned so much from this podcast, and it's great to listen to, especially when I'm getting ready in the morning. Even as a listener living in the UK, the two greatest Midwestern white boys keep helping me expand my brain with good takes. 5 out of 5 stars. Would recommend. P.S. I condemn all bad things.
And that's good. That's a good statement. There's a lot of bad things out there that I condemn as well. This next one from Danny O'Day, 172 independent stars out of 5. Voting autonomously while also not critical of the establishment star-based system. Oh, it's all one part of the stars. My bad, guys. My bad. It's been Venezuela's been wrecking. I spent like 2 days reading about Venezuelan crude, guys. The only reason this podcast was not on my Spotify React was because I proudly joined the Get a Boys a House Legion on Patreon. Let's go. I eagerly await my bi-weekly opinion to drop. These two Midwest white boys have yet to be wrong about anything. I condemn Hamas and all forms of political violence, including insane regime change wars in Venezuela. Keep up the good work. And speaking about not being wrong about anything, I feel like we were some of the first people that were on the wave of these new generation of Republicans are just stupider versions of the old generation of Republicans, because they didn't grow up with the hustle mentality that those guys had. They weren't like strategic Mitch McConnell. They were just Madison Cawthorn, and they grew up drinking the Kool-Aid, and now we're just it's like how AI feeds into itself eventually, and eventually like AI is not being trained off artists anymore. It's being trained off other AIs that's been trained off audience, and errors are compounding. And that's the state of the modern GOP.
Yeah, they didn't have to fight for any of it. They're just sort of like replicating behavior.
Exactly.
And that shit is gotten us where we are now. Next one from Lemon Oppie, 650 voters out of 5 stars. Checking in from Canada. My immigrant Korean mother saw me watch the YouTube video while at home during the holidays, and when asked, she said the boy who looked cute, but the boy without hair looked smarter and a better dancer.
What?
You look like a better dancer, I guess.
Hey, bro, I'm busting the moves down. You know what I'm saying?
Platform Clemmy. P.S. By the time I asked her about her stance on Palestine and political violence condemn, she had already lost interest and walked away.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
That's actually fucked up.
Put your mom on the pod.
You might have to get her back. You might have to really nail her in on that one.
Yeah, you need
That's
to.
an important question. It's one of some of the most important questions that people have been asking this way. This last and final Spotify review from Nima, 6 to 7 stars out of 5. This book sucked bigly, but you know what else sucks bigly is Trump pivoting from his Bidenization to go full Bush. And I got to agree, folks.
Trump going full Bush, man.
You never go full Bush.
George W. Trump. Oh my God.
That's been our Spotify reviews for this episode. If we missed yours, because we probably did on the last episode, drop it again.
Drop it again.
And
George
we'll get back
Trump.
to it in this new year. New Year's resolution of mine is to stop forgetting to read Spotify reviews. So
true.
With that in mind, write them vigilantly.
New Year's resolution of mine, triple the number of people that are patrons paid on the platform.
Yeah, if last year we had a goal to buy a house in cash, although it hasn't been met, maybe this year the goal is to buy multiple houses in cash.
Become a landlord.
I'm going to start renting those houses out for like way more than I'm paying on a mortgage. So
that's the goal, people.
Help us get there, everybody. And with that, special thanks to the special group of people that'll help us achieve our dreams of landlordship one day. Special thanks to Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Chrissy Beck, Mike Chiplinski, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Taro, Tari, Fergalaki, Max Vezquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mubarak, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Bega Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Cooley Sam 601, Colleen Kutch, Jennifer DeVoe, Croft Fishin, Bennett Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Aaron, Jennifer Signs, Aaron and his Gundams, Darth Father, Taylor for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo, Veronica, aka B, Raxon, Ash Smith, The Grotler, Murder Nachenko, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Gon, Iguana Vadon, Zach Lentian, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, to Caleb Rober, Taylor Ensock, Cammy, Tylen Freemiz, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C., Anna Valinick, Casey C., Say Yes to Wes, August Particular Pickman, Sir Capelot, Jeff Signs, Brendan's Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Chris T., Kashan Lala, Amanda R., Tyler J., Particulon, Memphis, Ron Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mail Driven Man, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper, not Jupiter,
Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Dew Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fida Hussein, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Brooklyn G, Navark the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Eddie Book, Merlin, Cryal Bongi, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Kim Kitsuragi, Rose Grimm, Kristen, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Evan Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, Jake Hall, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sajas, Majawat, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6 Inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Asura the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark 61, KC, Cannon Man, Troy H, Rourke Muffalo, Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nick, Sound Logic, Sleven, I've Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, CIA Small Creators Fund, Taylor from Burnt Down Minneapolis, Northeast Nick, Aya, Retired AF and SC, YK Coolin, Wolfer G, Gayest Worm, Niles Chamberlain, Sugar Free Baja Blast, Kristen the Leftist Nurse, Fake Airplane, TJ Loves Colleen, Mothman's Gay Lover, Real Jesus Christ,
Huge.
Queerla, Carter Gethin, Blulu 92, 1000 Miniature Horses, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon.
See, you know the news is fucked this week when Gayest Worm, Mothman's Gay Lover, and Real Jesus Christ doesn't make us laugh.
It doesn't make. It's not even funny anymore, man.
Didn't even crack me.
It's not funny. We're fucking potentially at war, or at least in a long-term obligation with Venezuela.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Like, this shit just feels dreadful. And it's like so much more confusing because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of like October 7th. Like when October 7th, just kind of like the dread that you feel thinking about like trying to cover this one on the next show. Like, oh God, what's it going to be? Like, how do I analyze this? How do I get there? But at least with October 7th, like I knew where things were going to go. As bad as it was, like there was a hope that like you can understand why it happened, even if why like everything that happened there happened, even if why it happened was like evil fundamentally, from like October 7th being something that happened and sucked to the genocide being something that happened and also sucked. This, I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. And it doesn't feel satisfying to say that like these guys just want to do, like these guys just want to be megalomaniacs. Like, it doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel like there's anything for me to like really bite onto. It doesn't like, I'm looking at it and it's like, there's a lot of books about the Iraq War. There's a lot of books about that. What fucking books are going to be about this, you know?
There's no analysis to do.
I'm thinking about future books that could be written about this, and sitting here being like,
Democrat write book.
How could I entertain myself in the future and vindicate my past thoughts? I won't be able to, because everyone's going to be like, yeah, these guys were fucking crazy. What?
Yeah, man, whatever. We'll fucking see you guys next time.
Hopefully this isn't too outdated by the time it comes out. See y'all Friday.